Okay, so the next question is, there are 15 plates in a kitchen cabinet. The diameter of each plate is either 7 inches or 12 inches. The diameter of all 15 plates combined is 140 inches. Which system of equations can be used to find the number of 7-inch plates, x, and the number of 12-inch plates, y, that are in the cabinet? Okay, so the first thing I'm drawn to is that it has 15 plates combined. And it also tells me they're in a kitchen cabinet. So my first thought is, they're talking about two types of plates, two plate types. I have some plates, if you look here, they also gave you a clue because they told you X. They have 7-inch plates, and then they have Y, the number of 12-inch plates. So they're separating the difference. Think of it as like I have little small plates and then I have big plates. And if I counted all the small plates and the big plates together, I would get 15 total plates. So here's what I'm going to do. If I want to get a total of 15, remember your total always goes after the equal sign. Well, if I put equals 15, this is talking about all of the plates. Well, what type of plates do we have? We have X number of 7-inch plates, so that would be, so I would have to add those to get to 15. So I would take, okay, I'd count up how many 7-inch plates I have, and then I would count up how many 12-inch plates I have, so that would be Y, and that answer better be 15. So now I'm going to start looking at my answer choices. X plus Y. If I add the number of small plates and the number of big plates, it's not going to equal 140. I don't have 140 plates in the cabinet. So A cannot be it. Here, they're saying multiply by 7 and multiply by 12, and that's going to equal 15. So if I had one plate, 7, and then I had one 12-inch plate times 12, 7 plus 12 is not 15, which means I'm going to end up with more plates than I have in the cabinet. So that is not correct. B has to be thrown out. And then C, if I add the number of small, X plus Y, the number of large plates, I should get 15. Okay, that one matches, so I'm going to keep that answer around. And D also has X plus Y equals 15. So now I got to figure out which answer is correct. So now I'm going to go hunting for numbers because I see they're both equal to 140. So I want to figure out what that number is. So it's talking about inches. 140 inches. Okay, so what other type of inches do we have in the problem? So we have 7 inches and 12 inches. Okay, so 7 inches, is that referring to X or Y? And it should be referring to X. So if I have two 7-inch plates, I have 7 inches for this diameter and 7 inches for this diameter, a total of 14 inches. So what we need to do is, in our equation, we need to make sure that we match up the 7 inches with X. So it's going to be 7X, and we're going to be adding these together because we're getting a combined inches. Okay, and now I've got to figure out, okay, well, what number would match up with Y? And remember, Y is talking about the 12-inch plate. So this inch number here, 12, has to match up with Y in my equation. So 12 and Y have to go together because they're referring to the same plate size. So now let's look here. I've got 7X plus 12Y equals 140. And then look here, I've got 12X plus 7Y. Well, this is saying that the 7-inch plates gets multiplied by 12, but those inches don't match up. And this, the number of large plates gets multiplied by 7, but that's not the number that goes with Y. So D cannot be it, because their inches equation does not match, so the correct answer is C. All right, looking at benchmark question 39, what is the equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the point 2, -2 and is perpendicular to the line represented by y is equal to 2/5 times the value of x plus 2. Okay, so they want my equation in slope-intercept form, which means they want it in y equals mx plus b format. And you can see, looking at your answer choices, those are all in y equals mx plus b. Here they gave us some information. They said that we have a point, 2, -2, and that we have to be perpendicular to this line. Okay, so this is where you want to start thinking about KFC as your strategy. When you see a perpendicular or parallel to the line, you want to think KFC. And I'm not talking about chicken. Okay, what I'm talking about are the initials KFC for keep, flip, change. So what we're going to do is keep as if your lines are parallel, and then flip change is if they are perpendicular. Okay, perpendicular. Well, we want to focus on the flip change. So what that means is, that means take your slope 2/5, and we are going to do exactly what these words say. Flip means flip the fraction. So if I flip the 2 and the 5, I would now have 5/2 as my slope. And then I want to change. If you notice, your slope has a sign of positive, and if I change the sign, that means that my slope would now have to be negative. So this is going to be my new slope, is the new slope. So I want to pick an equation that has -5/2 as the slope. Okay, so let's go look at our answer choices. Okay, this has 5/2, but it's not negative, so A is out. This has 5/2, but it's positive, so B is gone. C has -5/2 as a slope, and so does D. So now I'm stuck between two choices. So how can I figure out what the correct answer is? And the key lies in the point. Look, guys, they are giving you an X value and a Y value, 2, -2. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Y equals, and we want to see, does -5/2 X -3 have that X and Y ordered pair, or is it Y equals -5/2 X plus 3? Which one? So I'm going to go to my table. I'm going to clear my calculator first, and I'm going to go over here. Try to get the glare off. Alright, so I'm going to go to Y equals, and I'm going to type in -5/2 X -3. And I'm going to go to my table, and I'm going to say when X is 2, is Y -2? Well, you can clearly see it is not. So now I'm going to go back to Y equals, and I'm going to type in the other answer choice because I want to verify that I have the correct answer. It only takes a few seconds just to double check myself. And I'm going to go to the table, and I can clearly see that when X is 2, Y is a -2. So this answer, this equation is perpendicular to this line, and it has the point that they need us to have. So the correct answer is D. All right, question 43 from the benchmark. The graph of a linear function is shown on the grid. Which equation is best represented by this graph? Okay, so there's several ways that you can work this, but if you recognize that you have this in point slope format, you know that it's going to be y minus y, which is equal to m parentheses x minus x. And m, you know, is your slope, okay? But it also contains an ordered pair from the line. This is your x value from the ordered pair, and then you have a y value here. And those are some ordered pair. It could be any ordered pair off of that graph line. So I'm looking at A. Well, it says my slope is -3, that's m, and B is a -3. My slope in C is +3, and the slope in D is +3. Well, if you look at your slope of your line, if you think about what would slope dude say, is this puff puff positive, nice negative, zero fun, or undefined? And hopefully you recognize that this is a nice negative line. So I know that my slope has to be negative, okay? Well, if I look at my answer choices, that immediately rules out C and D because those slopes are positive, and that does not match the slant of my line. So now I've narrowed it down to A and B. So now I want to look at the ordered pairs. So I know that this is X and this is Y. And so now I'm going to write my ordered pair. So remember, it does the opposite because it's inside. So this is not going to be a negative 4, it's going to be a positive 4. And then my y value is, okay, if you notice it's got to say subtraction. Well, what would make a subtraction sign turn positive? That would be a negative 7. Okay, because minus a negative is going to turn into a positive. So let's see if the ordered pair 4, negative 7 is on this line. And so I go over to 4 and I go down to negative 7. And yes, that ordered pair is on the line. But I'm going to check B because it's going to be very obvious that this ordered pair is not on the graph line. So again, I'm looking for an x value inside. That's where your x's are. And it's going to be the opposite. So if it's positive 2, that means it's going to be a negative 2 here. And then my y value is over here. And I want to think, okay, what would my y value have to be so that it would turn into a positive 1? Because it's supposed to be a subtraction sign. And that means that my y value is also negative because y minus a negative 1 is going to turn into y plus 1. So let's graph negative 2